Well, 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 well. It's that time of the day again, that time of the week where we come and we just share knowledge that's going to transform this, our continent. Like you know, we are all about transforming Africa one mind at a time. One mind at a time. So I want to welcome everybody on board. This is our public forum. I want to welcome you. Come on, this is that point where you register your presence. And the reason we call it a public forum is so that you can share and bring people on board so they know exactly what's happening at the Street University. They know that a revolution is on. A revolution is on. So come on, let's know who's on board. Register your presence, but at the same time, this is the place where you now share, tag them, call people, let them know. The reason you are not making the progress you ought to make is you need to have the art of persuasion, audacious persuasion, not just persuasion, audacious persuasion. Hello, Stella. Karibu, 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 karibu. George, karibu means welcome.
Karibu, karibu. Wow.
Karibu.
Karibu.
So this is that session. I am warning you. All of you need to fasten your seat belts, because the person that's coming to speak today, to address us today, is somebody that I've told him over and over, Africa needs to hear this more and more. You know, Africa needs to hear this. You know, Africa, we have brains. We have brains. Oh my God. We have brains, you know. Anyway, so I'm still waiting. Come on, share the link, invite people. That's why this is public, so that people can have a glimpse of what we do at the Street University. You know, that's why we're having this public today. So come on, share it and tag people. And as we get ready to kick this off. So I give you, let's do 60 seconds of sharing, calling people on board, 60 seconds, and then we will kick off. So 60 seconds of sharing, tagging, calling people. If you need to get on the phone and call somebody and say, hey, you don't want to miss this. That is what you need to do. Hello, Edna. Hello, Sarah. All the way from Laredo, Texas. Edna in Uganda. Nombalelo from South Africa. Dorcas, you're welcome. You see, we already have the United Nations here.
Amazing.
Oh, Lorraine, it took George to bring you here. You and I are going to have our little family squabble after this. It took George. You abandoned George. Can you see what you are doing now? Can you see your life all the way from Nigeria?
I remember her.
You remember all the way from Nigeria? You are causing family wahala here between me and Lorraine.
Wow.
All right, oh. Wow. Hamza, karibu. You're very, very welcome, Hamza. Okay. This is great. We are about to go kick this off. I hope there's nobody I left out, you know, saying hello to you. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for reaching out to people. And right now, I am just going to, Chukuka. Hey, how you doing, man? Yeah, good to have you here. Fantastic. You're welcome. Welcome. All right, guys, it's that time. Our speaker is, let me tell you how I have introduced and talked about George to people. Look, I consider George to be one of the foremost authorities when it comes to the science of persuasion globally. I've listened to people. I have read, you know, I am on my 5th book I just finished my 5th book. Where is it? I just finished my 5th book of the month of the year 2021. I finished my book number 5 today. All right. And so I've read a lot. I'm starting book number 6 tonight. I read a lot. I've seen a lot. But when it comes to the science of persuasion, George, and I'm not saying this to flatter you. I'm not saying this I'm just telling the truth. This is a statement of fact. George, I consider you to be one of the foremost authorities globally, in this area. So I want to welcome you back to the Street University. Ladies and gentlemen, George is one of our resource people. He's one of the facilitators at the Street University, and he's developing some amazing content for the Street University. So right now, George, you are welcome. And I think the first question I'm going to ask you, George, we've known each other for too many years. How did you get into this? Over to you, George.
All right, so thank you so much, Dr. Akinyemi, for the opportunity. I'm delighted and excited to be here. Now, you see, a lot of people want to get information. We have information everywhere. We have information in the internet. We have information everywhere. But information can only take you thus far, just, a little step ahead, because information on the internet and everywhere you are is scattered. What you do need is knowledge. So how did I get to where I've gotten to? I got here by having knowledge. So knowledge is organized information. When the information that you have is organized, is functional, is sequential, is systematic, it is relevant, it is usable, it becomes knowledge. A lot of us have information about how to lead. We have information about wealth. We have information about marriage, but we don't have knowledge. We need to move from information to knowledge. And to make that transition happen, you need a teacher. You need teachers to show up. So teachers are the ones that transform or take the information, the scattered, disjointed information you have everywhere, and then literally organize it for you into a body of knowledge that you can use. So my movement to this place was actually because I started looking out for teachers, people who epitomize the knowledge that I want to know. Because see, this knowledge sometimes is epitomized by people like Dr. Akinyemi. Many years ago, almost 20 years ago, he came over to Nigeria for a project, and I observed him very carefully. I learned what he was doing. In fact, interestingly, a lot of his materials I still use in some of my trainings on team building, on leadership. I began to organize, and he taught us a lot of things. So for you to move forward to have a very fantastic life, you need to move information to knowledge. But you see, knowledge is not still enough. You need to also take action. That's where you get power. That's where you get results. You need to apply the knowledge that you have, organized, that your teachers have organized for you, and then start taking action, start applying. But action is not enough. You need to transition from action to motion. The action has to be consistent. It has to be consistent. It has to be perpetual. It has to be habitual for you to start getting results in your life. So a one-off action may not give you the kind of results you're looking for. You need perpetual, consistent, actions to start getting amazing, amazing results. So it is not necessarily the application of knowledge that produces power. It is the consistent application of knowledge that produces power. Now, I want to take it a notch higher, because sometimes we dwell in the realm of information and stay there. Some people move on to knowledge and probably stay there. Some people do one-off actions and stay there. Some people take consistent actions. But when you take consistent actions, what you have is habits. When you take consistent actions, you get the same results. But if you want change in 2021, if you want change in your life, you have to take new actions. So consistency is not as powerful as improvement. Consistency is inferior to improvement. For you to really have remarkable change in your business, in your life, you need to move from consistency, which is good, but to improvement. When you start improving your actions, you move on from consistency or habits to skill. And what is skill? Or what is mastery? Or what is competence? Skill, mastery, or competence is taking consistent actions with improvement at the back of your mind. So every time you're taking those consistent actions, you keep asking yourself the question, how can I do this better? How can I think better? Am I just forming habits, or am I graduating to the skill realm? Now, when you get to the skill realm, you are considered a master. What makes you cutting edge, that cutting edge personality in society, in your community, in your country, in your workplace, is when you move from just having information to having skill. Now, the information you have or your certificate will give you access to the job, and that's fine. Your knowledge may get you the job, but what will keep you at the job, in spite of acquisitions and mergers and retrenchment, will be the skill you bring to the marketplace. What makes you valuable and relevant are the skill sets. So you need to, in the 21st century, start developing skill sets and skill ranges. What do I mean by skill set? Complementary skills. Like in communication, two major skills you need to have that will make you very relevant in society are persuasion skills and negotiation skills. You really need to have persuasion skills, because you cannot get anything happening for you. You can't lead effectively unless you persuade effectively. And then you also need to have negotiation skills, because if you don't have that going for you, you can't market. So one of those skill sets you need to have, that's the complementary skills. So persuasion, negotiation, selling skills, they are very complementary skills. You need to have skill sets. They also need to have skill ranges or skill range. By that I mean different skills. For you to be very effective in the 21st century right now, you need to have multiple skills, so that it doesn't matter the situation you're in, you can always come up with new ideas, come up with new skills to attack that situation. So I moved from this place, from where I was to where I am today, because I subjected myself to the scrutiny and the discipline of teachers. You need a teacher, you need teachers, not just books. Books have their place, they're very powerful. But the Chinese are right. They say, the Chinese proverb says that a conversation across the table with a mentor, with a teacher, is what 1 month study of books. And that's why I want to encourage you to join the Street University. Now, this is what that does for you. You get into a place where knowledge, where information is arranged. It is sequential, it's systematic, it's not disjointed. You're not having this and that, you're having something arranged. And so you can take relevant actions and literally determine the kind of results that you have. And that's why the Street University has been put together by Dr. Akiemi to help you get mentored. Actually, we have 3 kinds of teachers you need to have in your life for you to try to get information to knowledge, and knowledge to action, one of action to habits, and then to skill. You need to have 3 kinds of teachers. The first kind of teacher you need to have are what I call role models. Role models are heroes and sheroes, men and women who inspire you. They are living epitomize what your ideal, where you want to go, who you want to be. Maybe in the corporate world, maybe in religion, ministry, organization. You see them, you admire them, you learn from their books, you watch their videos, you learn from them. And by following them carefully, they serve as teachers. You know them, they don't know you. There's no intimacy. That leads us to the second kind of teachers. More impactful are people called mentors. Mentors are teachers who have your kind of giftings, have your kind of vision, and they're doing what you want to do. But the difference between a role model and a mentor is that a mentor has a relationship with you. You're giving him the permission to correct you, to guide you, to help you out. He's doing his thing, but he's inspiring you. He's pursuing his dreams and his vision, but he's inspiring you. You're observing carefully. All right, so mentors play a major role. And the third kind of teachers you need to have, and teachers that transform information to knowledge, basically, are called coaches. You need to have a coach. Who is a coach? Now, a coach may not have your kind of gifting or may not have your kind of vision, but he has this ability to bring out the best in you. He's trained to do so. He knows how to put you through a routine, through systems that can bring out the best in you. He may not be going your direction, but he has that ability. He has the signs, the skills to do that for you, to convert information to knowledge, to put you through a routine, and he has a relationship with you. So the difference between a mentor and a coach, the similarity that both of them have relationship with you, but the difference that the coach may not be your kind of talented individual. For example, in the choir, the choir master is not necessarily the most talented, but of course he has the ability to bring out the best in the choir. Same thing with the football pitch. The coach there is not necessarily the best footballer, but he knows how to put together, to match roles with talent, to lead them to victory. So sometimes you may need either to have a role model. You need to have role models, obviously. You also need to have mentors, but mentors pursue their own dreams and so may not have time for you. But you can actually go for coaches. Coaches usually want to be paid to help you, form systems, form habits, and form skills that can be relevant for you. So you need a coach. And I often tell my people who I work with that there are two kinds of coaches. For you to have peak performance in your life, peak performance, mastery in your life. Because those are the people that are relevant in the world. People that are masters are coached. They're coachable. You see, amateurs don't have coaches. Professionals have coaches. You see the likes of Tiger Woods, Serena Williams. They talk about their coaches. These guys don't necessarily have the ability, but they have the wherewithal to make them the best they should be. In your life, in your business, in your ministry, in your organization, you need a coach. So who is your coach? In joining the street university, you give us the opportunity to either serve as role models for you or to you, serve as mentors or be coaches. And this is very strategic. There are two kinds of coaches. We have Coach A and we have Coach B. Now I want you to listen very carefully to this kind of coaches. The Coach A experience is where you meet somebody and you want the person you admire his achievement, his ability to bring out the best in others, what he's done, and you want him to train you to become what you want to be. That's the Coach A. But you see, he's more lenient on you. He tells you, okay, you know what, you want to win the Olympic medal. That was supposed to happen last year, but it's happening maybe this year or next year. And you're telling him, sir, I know you train runners, I want to learn how to run. He tells you, okay, come to the stadium by 5:30 a.m. the following morning, tomorrow morning. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to see how good you are. And then the following morning, you come by 6 a.m. rather. You come by 6 a.m. with some excuses, telling, oh, so I'm so sorry, my family, my work, this, that. He pardons you, tells you, no problem. Let's go ahead with the training. You will do well. When it's time for the competition, he tells you, you know what? You can either be the first or be the second or the third. It doesn't matter. You can only get better. That is a Coach A experience. And there are coaches that can serve in that capacity for you. But for you to reach peak performance, you need to have the Coach B experience. Who is the Coach B? The Coach B is someone who comes into your life. You tell him, sir, I want you to coach me. I want you to help me. I want to win the Olympic medal. I want to be the first. He tells you, I don't coach people like you. He says, sir, I'm so sorry. I need you. I really need you. He said, you cannot afford to pay me. Eventually, he gets you to pay very heavily. And then he tells you, tomorrow, come to the stadium by 5:30 a.m. So the next day, because you're paid him some money, you come by 6 a.m. and he tells you, I've told you already, I don't coach people like you. I'm not going to coach you today. You need to go back home. So please, sir, I have this excuse, my family, my days. He says, look, you have to go back home. And then you beg him, eventually tells you to do a frog jump and sends you away, and tells you, come tomorrow. They follow the next day by 5:30 a.m. The question I have to you and for you is that will you come the next day by 5:30 a.m.? Obviously. And then on the day of the competition, the Olympic competition, this analogy we're using, he tells, you know what, guy, I've trained you, I've given you the best, I've disciplined you, I've scrutinized you, I've worked on you. I think you're the best. But here's the deal. If you go out there and you run and you take second, don't come back to me. Keep running forward. Just keep going. The only time you should come back and smile to get my applaud and whatever is when you take first. So sometimes in our lives, we need to have that Coach B experience. Sometimes in our lives, to have that Coach B experience. So answer your question, Dr. Wale. I'm taking some time to answer this question. But here's the deal. I have had plenty Coach B experiences that have disciplined me, worked on me to become who I am today. Did I answer your question, sir?
Wow. I want to welcome Abdul from Ethiopia. You're very welcome, Abdul. Welcome. George, I think this is amazing. And what you're saying is so true. You see, a lot of people, one of the challenges of the area in which we're living is that a lot of people want to be mentored on their own terms, and it's not going to work that way. That's why, a lot of times people will call me, oh, we want you to be our coach. I want you to be your mentor. And I tell them exactly what you did, what you said. I said, okay, you know what? This is what you got to do. But I found that many times people want it on their own terms, and it's not going to work. So I am happy with what you have actually said now. Now let's go into persuasion. It's something we need in every area of our lives. Take us through. I know that on Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, George is going to be having a very exclusive session for Street University members on Thursday. It's going to be on Zoom, and you're going to be able to ask questions and do that. I want to welcome someone listening from Calabar, Nigeria. Is that General? Okay, I can't pronounce that, and I don't want to say it badly. From Calabar, you're very welcome, sir. So on Thursday, George is going to have that exclusive session with members of the Street University. If you have not yet subscribed, what is the Street University? It's a platform. The easiest way to explain it, it's a Netflix for empowerment. When you subscribe, you are going to see a whole world of knowledge out there. And the good thing is that you will be able to have access to some of these, our facilitators, like we're going to have with George on Thursday. So, George, take us through this thing called persuasion. This thing called persuasion.
Okay.
We need it in every area of our life. Can you give us a breakdown of what it is and how it works, so we can be more effective? People don't know. You talked about persuasion and negotiation. How do we talk ourselves to get to the next level of our life? What do we need to do, George? So help us to unpackage it. I know that you will just, and then on Thursday, we can actually go deeper. Over to you, George. Hello. Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm back. All right. So, we're in Nigeria and we have a lot of network issues. But hey, persuasion is life. At some point in your life, you will need to persuade. And you see, we have two kinds of people. We have the persuaded and we have the persuader. We have those who are selling and those who are buying. And in this giant scheming court of life, you cannot be in the middle ground. You're either the influenced or the influencer, the persuaded or the persuader. So we need to learn and master persuasion. We need to master persuasion in romance for you to get that woman of your dreams to marry you, or to even keep your marriage. You need to understand the mechanics and the dynamics, the intricacies around persuasion. For you to lead effectively, you need to learn to persuade. For you to do business and succeed, to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to learn persuasion. And so we teach persuasion as a part of communication. Communication is vital, it's life. And so to break it down, one of the things I want you to understand is that for you to effectively communicate, as a leader, you need to basically understand 7 areas. And that's what we try to help you understand in the persuasion class. And it will help you in business, in relationship, in leadership, in enterprise, 7 areas. Those 7 areas, number 1, you need to understand the place of the encoder, ENCODER. Who is the encoder? The encoder is you, who is giving out the information, who is giving out the code, who is giving out the message. The encoder is the speaker, is the leader, is the writer, is the parent, is the person communicating. And the encoder has a major part to play in the entire communication process, in the entire persuasion process. The encoder has to have, number 1, clarity. Clarity, is what you're going to communicate. You need to have clarity. Number two, the encoder needs to have charisma, because you see, passion also persuades. And when Socrates talked about persuasion many years ago, he said persuasion is in three dimensions. Number one, ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos means credibility, ethics, and that is a characteristic of the encoder. Ethos, pathos being passion before you get to logos being logic, content, knowledge, and study. So the encoder needs to have clarity. He also needs to have charisma. He needs to know how to communicate effectively. After the encoder, the very important part, of course, he also needs to have confidence, which is very, very important. Charisma, confidence, competence, capacity. That's the first part. The second part is the quality of the code, CODE. The code is the message, the sermon, is the philosophy, is the lesson. And we need to also work on that part, because if you're going to have persuasion at the end of the day, aside the encoder, who has to be in place, who has to be charismatic, content filled, has capacity and content, he needs to also work on his code, the message, what he's saying, how he's saying it. Code, the message.
Okay, I think, George, we're having a Niger network situation there. But I want you to, before George comes back, ethos, logos, pathos, those are the things he talked about. And this is very, very important, even as we, once George is back online, please, guys, let me know, even as we wait for his network to be restored. I will not claim to want to preempt what he's going to say, because I am learning, I'm writing my own notes here, but I think this is very, very important in terms of, think of the number of opportunities that were yours just waiting for you, but you lost it because you did not have the skills to persuade whoever was given out, or the final authority where that opportunity was concerned. And so these are things, unfortunately, they don't teach us this in school. These are things you have to go out and learn for yourself. All right, these are things you have to learn for yourself. Very, very important things. And I'll tell you a story. Oh, he's back. Great. George.
I'm so sorry about this.
No,
so we're talking about persuasion, and we said that 7 things are in place, need to be in place for the entire persuasion process or communication process. And we talked about the encoder. Do you remember that? The encoder, yeah. Right now, if you remember when I talked about the encoder, and then we went on to talk about the code, the quality of the message, how we present the message. And the next thing is the channel. The channel talks about the platform, what you use to communicate. Now, let me say this to us who are communicators and speakers and trainers. Your channel matters. Your channel is the book you're using to pass across your message. It's the internet. The internet is a massive channel. What we're using right now is a channel. Radio is a channel. Television is a channel. Radio uses audio communication. TV uses visual communication. And the internet uses audio visual, and much more. So what it took radio more than 50 years to get a lot of people to buy in, it took television 13 years to get over 50 million people to join on television, but that's taking the internet 5 years, less than 5 years, to get more than 50 million people to sign up. And today we have billions of people. Actually, we have 3 billion people or more on the internet today. And so as a communicator, you need to know how to use the right channel. It's okay to use books. It's also okay to use radio, but you also need to understand, for you to reach out to more people, you want to leverage on the internet. So the communicator understands that dynamics, that a person who is on radio is influential, but a person who is on television, who uses audio visual, is more influential. Is a lot more influential than anybody who is on radio, So what I want to share with you is important, that the channel you're using, I often do this to people. I tell them, I say, ask this simple question. The teacher in front of 30 people or 30 students and the radio presenter, who has more content and who is more influential? Apparently, the teacher in front of 30 people has more content, but is not as influential as the radio presenter, because the radio presenter is using a larger channel. So why don't we say this? Why don't we have the teacher in front of 30 students also go on radio? Now he has more content and more reach. Why doesn't he go on television? He has more content and more reach. Why doesn't he use the internet? So the place of the channel in persuading people in getting results is important. So for the 21st century, the internet is king. The social media is king. The communicator needs to understand how to use that channel, Zoom, StreamYard, Facebook, to pass across that message, that quality message that you have, to become a lot more influential. So that's the role of the channel. The fifth, okay, that should be the fifth one now. The fourth thing that you need to pay attention to in the communication process and the persuasion process is the decoder. The decoder is the receiver of the code, the receiver of the message you're sharing. Now, so that's the audience, that's the congregation, those are the members. You pay attention to them, because what makes communication truly communication, or the meaning of communication, is not what the encoder says. The meaning of communication is not what the encoder says. The meaning of communication is not what the encoder says. The meaning of communication is what the decoder interprets as communication. So communication is not what you feel communication is. Communication is what the decoder, the recipient, interprets it as. So the decoders are not just the receivers, they are the interpreters. The decoders are not just the receivers of the message, they are the interpreters. So as a communicator, you are concerned not just about your message, not just about you, but about the recipient, the audience. Now let's talk about that in marriage. So you see, a lot of women have a lot to say. They have the way they are feeling, but their husbands are communicating, they think they are loving, but they are thinking they are really loving, when their wives will say they are not as romantic. So you need to move away from yourself and start thinking about the decoder, the one who is processing the information. That is your determinant of whether you are persuading or not. So the decoder is the receiver, and not just the receiver, the interpreter of the message. So you receive a message and then you interpret it wrongly. That means that you're not getting the kind of result as a communicator as you should. So what you do now is, your goal as a communicator is to make sure that reception and interpretation aligns, that what you have received and what they have received and how they interpret what they have received aligns. When you can do that as a communicator, you are an effective communicator. And that's the goal of leadership. That's the goal of parenting. That's the goal of pastoring. That's the goal of leading. When information people receive becomes how they act, shows that you're truly an effective communicator. So the decoder is not the recipient, he's the interpreter. And now the interpretation of the code is called feedback. So let me go over it again. The encoder, that's the sender of the message. The code, the message itself, the channel, the platform for which the message is sent, the decoder, the receiver, and the interpreter of the message. And then we have the feedback, that is the interpretation that comes from the decoder. Am I speaking in German? If I'm speaking in English, I like it to write down speaking in English language. Now the truth is, what truly shows you are effective as a communicator is the feedback. And so as communicators, we need to start thinking about, what feedback am I receiving? We are sensitive to feedback. That is our goal. And we say this, if you're looking for something to write down, write this down. The goal of communication, the goal of persuasion is quality feedback. feedback. So you can speak so well, you can be such an orator, you can be so charismatic, you can be so filled of capacity and content, but if the feedback you're receiving is not commensurate to the content, it's not commensurate, it's not the in same proportion and value, you know, it's not in alignment with what they received, then you're not really a good or persuasive communicator. So that's what you're working towards. Not on the oratory, on the charisma. That's all that is good. You want to focus on how am I receiving, what am I receiving back from these people? If you have that paradigm shift in your leading, as you lead men, as you lead in government, as you lead in your place, in your space, you're thinking about feedback. What feedback am I receiving? And then you are evaluating the feedback, and you're making sure that because of the feedback you receive, you go back to your content to work on the content, to present it better to the audience. And then you think again, what feedback? What's the quality of feedback? That way, you become an effective persuader. So what we're going to show you is how to go through this process. At the Street University, we'll break it down step by step, how to form connections with people, how to build rapport, how to be sensitive to feedback, how to take the feedback you receive from people and then work on it so that you can send them a new code, the new message, the new sermon, the new lesson, the new philosophy you send back is in alignment with your heart, and they can receive it and then give you the corresponding interpretation, the corresponding action. There's an alignment to what your intention is. So does this make sense to you? And that is what persuasion is all about, making sure that reception and interpretation are in alignment. If you can do that, if that's all you can do, there can be character reformation. So you see a lot of people doing a lot of reorientation, making noise on radio, on TV, but they're wondering why the result isn't there, why people are not responding accordingly. You see parents talking to their children, and there is no corresponding action, or the actions they are receiving is not as they wanted. Is because, well, a lot of factors. Maybe the code isn't right. Maybe the encoder doesn't have credibility, or maybe the channel is very weak, or maybe the decoders are not just connecting, they're not feeling right. Maybe there's some situation, because the sixth thing is situation. The situation of the decoder determines his interpretation. What is he going through? You know, so you're telling a person to achieve some result, some goal, and then he's not feeling fine. You're telling him to move, but he's hungry. So the situation is also vital. And then outside the situation, the last part is the noise. If there's noise, it will affect the interpretation, it will affect the feedback of the decoder. So I'm going to go over it again one more time, and I'll call it a wrap. The encoder, that's the sender of the message. The code, that's the message itself. The channel, that's the platform, how it is sent. The decoder, the receiver, and the interpreter of the message. The feedback, the actual interpretation, the actual goal of communication. What persuasion is the feedback. The situation, what is making the decoder not give you the kind of feedback you're looking for, is either situation or noise. I like to end this by saying that we can therefore define communication as this. Pay attention now. Pay attention carefully. We can therefore define effective communication as this. Communication is the process, is a process. Is a process by which an encoder sends a code to a decoder through a channel with the expectation of feedback without the interference of noise and situation. I'd like to repeat it again. Encoder, communication is a process by which an encoder sends a code to a decoder, that's the interpreter, you know, through a channel with the expectation of feedback without the interference of noise or situation. Does that make sense? So if we look at that definition, we have all of the 7 elements that facilitate effective communication, all present in that definition. And once you understand these 7, and we break it down in different courses, different ideas, and different subject matter, looking at from the encoder down to the noise, and we can look at it very critically, we can become a lot more persuasive. Now, let me tell you, friends, be the persuader, don't be the persuaded. Learn this process. At the Street University, we'll be going deeper into it and showing what to do to become a lot more persuasive. Did that make any sense? Does that make any sense?
Wow, absolutely. This is phenomenal. Guys, I want it's all amazing. Guys, please just make comments. Let George know what this is doing to you. Make comments, because you know I am almost speaking in tongues right now. Right? Just make comments, because this, I think, is brilliant. You have broken down communication in a way, and you know the truth is, by the time we align ourselves with all these things you have said today, then we become persuasive, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We become persuasive. Oh my goodness. So let me ask. Guys, am I hearing from you or what? It makes phenomenal sense. Edna says it's awesome. Joy says great. Ken says communication is happening. So it is happening. Lorraine says wonderful. And Jerome says amazing. Knowledge is happening. Succinct, explicit, phenomenal.
Wow.
George, you're even bringing out the English in us right now.
Amazing.
You're bringing the English in us right now. So tell me, when we look at a lot of leaders in an organization, I was talking with a particular organization this morning, and you find out that leaders are having challenges getting the people to move into a particular state or frame.
Yeah.
Is it that they are not communicating, or is it one of those 7 things? Now, let me tell you, George, do you know this is I'm just looking at the comments here. You know, you have obviously touched something. So let's go back to the organizations, or even on a national level.
Yes, sir.
All right. One of the things that I love when I look at a book, they will tell you that a book is a bestseller. It's the best selling, not necessarily the best written.
Yeah.
And so you find out that a book that is bad, and there have been times where they write best selling, you open it and you wonder, what is all this rubbish? You know? So if a book is badly written but properly sold, it will obviously do better than a book that was very well written, you know, but badly sold.
Well. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
True.
So we have a lot of initiatives in government, in organizations, where fantastic initiatives, but they don't take off. Are you telling me that those people, it's because they lack an understanding of persuasion, or how can we help? A lot of these CEOs and decision makers are on this platform. What would you tell them they need to do in their organizations?
So aside looking at the 7 things you've mentioned, which is very important, you want to look at all of that. You also want to think about communication in this light. Communication begins with connecting. You know, so a lot of times we want to convince, we don't want to start connecting with the people. That's where it all begins. You have to connect with the decoders before you come up with those lofty initiatives. You call them lofty. Do the decoders call them lofty? You call them relevant, change projects. Do the decoders, the recipients, the people in society, members of staff, do they really consider it? So your focus should move away from what you consider as lofty to them. So communication begins with connecting. A lot of African leaders are not connecting with the people. You're not doing a lot of connecting. A lot of decisions makers are not making connections. And after you move from, you're connected with the people, you've connected with the decoders, the next thing you want to do is you want to cast, C-A-S-T. To cast simply means to paint pictures. You've got to paint the picture very clearly. You know, a lot of people are trying to say things, a lot of leaders are trying to say things when they should be showing us. People move because they see. They don't move because they hear. They move because they see.
I think George is having one of those internet. Are you back, George? Okay. All right. While we wait for George to come back, I want to highlight that thing he talked about. People move because they see, not because they hear. And let me say this. If I told you right now, a black Range Rover, what happens to you immediately? Sorry, George, you are right back. You know what happens? I'm just buttressing what you said, George, that people move because they see, not because they hear. And I said, if we told people right now, a black Range Rover, immediately you saw a picture in your mind. You did not see letters, R-A-N-G. You didn't see that. You saw the picture. And of course, the model that you saw determined by a lot of other factors anyway. But you saw a black Range Rover. All right. And why is this important? The human mind was not designed to execute letters. It was designed to execute images. And that's why when somebody is trying to explain something to you, when you finally get it, what do you say? I see. You don't say I hear. Because if it has not created an image, you cannot execute. You know, I've done this experiment too many times where I'm in a place and I just begin, and I'm trying to, you know, prove this point. And I take a whole bunch of books and I speak in Yoruba and I say, anybody who hears what I'm saying, come and take these books. Nobody comes. You know why they could not execute it? Because they were listening. They were paying attention, but the words were not being converted into images. And that is what happens in a lot of organizations. You are a leader, your people are listening. They are paying attention, but nobody is going to act until what you have said has become a picture. Then they can go out and execute. George, over to you.
All right, so that's basically, you've said it all, sir. You've said it all. So because every progress is traceable to vision. Every progress is traceable to clarity. There is no movement without vision. There is no motion without vision. There is no motion without vision. So people do because they see. If you understand this, so the challenge of leadership is not, first of all, to connect with the audience, connect with the people. The second challenge is to paint pictures, to show, to demonstrate what they are saying. And that's what communication, the entire communication thing is all about, where we start teaching you how to show people. And so if you're a leader, if you're a CEO, if you are a business person, entrepreneur, you want to learn how to stop saying and start showing. Start showing. And one of the best ways to show people is to model it, is to model the example. That's in fact, that's the strongest, most powerful way to show people what you want them to do. So if you model, that is, you become the thing you want them to see or to do, they will respond accordingly. And that's what leadership is all about. Leadership ultimately is about influence. It's about influence. John Maxwell said it perfectly. He said leadership is influence, nothing else, nothing more. But leadership is much more than that. Leadership is not just influence. Leadership is influence that leads to affluence. So you influence people and then you become affluential. And leadership is much more. Leadership is duplicating your efforts and multiplying your results. You duplicate your effort. How do you duplicate your effort? By showing, and then they start doing, and you're having a lot of people doing stuff, and then you're multiplying your results. So duplicating your effort and multiplying your results through communication and leveraging teamwork, that's what leadership is. Leadership is also more than that. Leadership is matching talent with roles, the ability to spot a talent, and then to match him with the roles, to tell the person this is where you should be, matching strengths with responsibilities. That's what leadership is. And that all forms the entire persuasion mix. So because communication is a very, very, very important part of leadership. And when you join the Street University and you start following the courses I'll be sharing, we start teaching you step by step how you can go about it, how you can practically show, how you can model, how you can start duplicating your results. And if we have that going on in Africa, very soon we'll have plenty leaders everywhere, and we'll start having leaders in the industries, we have leaders in the government, and we'll have a better Africa, just because we understand leadership and we understand communication.
Amazing. Well done, George. This has been awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a wrap today, but George is now going to continue this on Thursday. It's a members-only event. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so today so you'll be able to come in and we will send you the link. That's www.thestreetuniversity.com. And we'll send you the link, and then you'll be able to join us on Thursday on Zoom with this special session with George, where you will now be able to ask questions and we can have a very interactive evening. It's just going to be George wall to wall on Thursday. My job is just to welcome him and sit back and begin to take notes. So that's going to happen. Yes,
let me
George.
say one last thing.
Yes.
So I want you to be part of Thursday's meeting, because I'll be opening your mind to a whole lot. I'll be showing slides and I'll be taking questions. I'll go very practical. Today we've been a bit abstract. We've been a bit, we're using English language in our conversation. I'll go practical as relates to business. You don't want to miss it. You want to understand the mastery of persuasion, the mastery, how to get to that realm of mastery. I'll show you practical things you can start doing, and give yourself the next 40 days, the next 50 days of taking these action steps. You will see change in your society. You will see change in your home, starting from your home, your workplace. You become a lot more influential. I'll give you action steps that you can take that will change your life and the people around you. So don't miss it for anything. Go to the Street University and sign up and join me at the exclusive Zoom meeting where we'll learn how to take our life to the next level. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity, and God bless you wherever you're reaching us from. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Kudos to the great Dr. George Essien. It's been an amazing experience. George, you're one of those people I can listen to all day, and just listen and listen. Thank you so much for pouring yourself here. And ladies and gentlemen, you need to come on the platform and be with us on Thursday, and also take advantage. Some of you remember when we had my sister Nabu Far here. Her content is right there. You need to go learn. We have phenomenal facilitators who have content out there, on the Street University. So please just register and take advantage of this. So it's been a great day, and we look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Thank you. Yes, guys, I love the comments. Keep them coming. Thank you so much. And then, of course, this evening at 9 p.m. East African time on the Wale Akinyemi resource page, I am going to be talking about the mind, about the mindset that makes things happen. Because let me just give you this preview. No matter how much information you have, No matter how much of the Bible you know, no matter how much they have prayed for you, you will never achieve more than your mindset will permit. You will never achieve more than your mindset will permit. In fact, I dare say a lot of what people have been saying, oh, the devil, the devil, the devil, you find out that it was your mindset that was working against you. And so 9 p.m. tonight, Wale Akiemi resource page on our spiritual intelligence class, I'm going to be dealing with that. I want to open this invitation to every single person here and all the people that you want to be there. You know, your networks, bring them on 9 p.m. when we talk about this mindset, how to get your mindset in alignment with your vision. Very, very important. So look forward to seeing you all this evening. All right. So Dr. George Essien, you're the bomb.
Thank you. I appreciate
you.
You are just God bless you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And God bless you all. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.